Well, hey friends, the crew has been making an insane amount of progress around here, and it's the end of the day. So I want to walk you through all the different zones, the things that they've accomplished, and also, holy, we have been making decisions right and left. And a lot of times this is where a landscape designer is amazing for coming in because they can help guide you through all of these steps. So without much further ado, shall I show you the rubble that was the stairs of death? Friends, welcome to what remains of the stairs of death. I cannot believe not only did they get these stairs apart, but they moved them to the top, because one thing I like to think about when I do a construction project is how am I utilizing my resources and what is going to happen to them? So I love aged basalt. I think it's so beautiful. It's one of my favorite stone materials. And I kind of want to bring a little bit more basalt into this garden because it is so regionally appropriate. So what I'm going to do actually is a kind of a maneuver that I've used in previous gardens for previous clients that I've worked with. And I am going to use all of this stone to sculpt a new garden bed. So stay tuned on that, because one thing that I hope to achieve with this garden is break up how many flat lines we have. We are on a hillside, so I just want to lean into that and create more nooks and crannies for things to spill over, for, you know, my plants to grow in between. So I am very, very excited to repurpose these incredible boulders and have them stay on my property and not go be dumped into some wasteland. It's just, they belong here, so let's make them a proper home. So another decision point today was this greenhouse floor. I actually went to go order Mutual Materials. They have this product called Vancouver Bay. It's exactly what we used for the patio in front. However, when I went to go order it, they were sold out. They had, apparently a big box store had bought through all of their Vancouver Bay slabs. And so I was kind of left going, okay, what do we do? Because I really wanted my areas to talk to each other and have the same, we sometimes call it material language. And so I talked to the folks down at Paving Stone Supply in Ballard in Seattle, Washington. And Alexis is great. And she's like, hey, have you ever used the new stone material called Manhattan? Well, I went and I looked at it, and it is awesome. And actually, it has even a more smooth finish than the Vancouver Bay pavers that I used out front. So all that to say, another decision down. We are going to go with the new stone paver called Manhattan, and we're going to get it in a charcoal. And it's just going to set this like nice, clean, modern tone that I think really, really fits with the rest of the house, and will also speak to the hardscaping that we have selected for the front garden. So here are the Mutual Material Vancouver Bay slabs that I was talking about that we used for the front garden. And what's kind of interesting is if you look at it, you can actually see quite a bit of texture coming through this charcoal paver. And whenever you use a charcoal paver, it is going to bleach out in the sun. So just be aware of that. Unless you seal it, it's going to lighten up as it ages in place. So when I looked at the new stone product, it's actually a deeper charcoal, and you don't get any of these little flecks of stone. It's super duper matte, and I think it is going to be awesome. And I do mean super awesome inside that greenhouse. It's just going to be like really like this chic modern counterpoint to my adorable new French greenhouse. Another decision got made today, and I am super, super grateful to my contractor for helping me in this decision process. This is actually the paver that we are going to use for our parking pad. Now, a couple of notes. When you're looking at pavers, not all pavers are what they refer to as drivable. And even when a paver is drivable, there's residential use and there's commercial use. And it all depends on how much of like a point load this concrete can take. So what we did is we've chosen this paver. Now, I do have a bottle of water here because I want to show you something. When you're selecting a paver, I don't want you to just select it dry, but I also want you to select it wet. Here in Seattle, we get a ton of rain, and because we get a ton of rain, I've got to know what this thing is going to look like when it's actually wet. So whenever I bring samples to a client, I usually bring a couple and I wet some of them down. Okay, friends, this has made such a huge difference, and I do mean a huge difference. And so this is that same paver wet. Okay, a couple things from a design perspective and a couple things from a functional perspective that went into our decision here. First and foremost, I personally, for a driveway application, prefer a mixed color, meaning if it's all flat, I feel like my eye just gets drawn to like dirt and tire marks and this, that, and the other thing. If we have a little bit of pattern here, it just helps disguise any unsightly marks. Next, when Brian and I were looking at pattern choices for this particular paver, we were looking actually at a 5-way pattern, which means it's 5 different sizes, puzzle pieced together. They have their kind of pattern set, right? And so we were looking at that and we were like, yeah, this is great. This is the way we want to go. And by the way, this is a paver that is rated for driveway use, not commercial driveway use, but residential driveway use, which are like 2 very different beasts. So we took our paver choice to Elias, and he said that he was actually working with an architect about 7 years ago. And what he told him was that the herringbone pattern, which is like kind of like this little situation, is the strongest pattern for a driveway application. And what you end up doing is you end up with this pattern that is locked super tight in place. So as you drive on it, and obviously your wheels are turning, you aren't having the same spread that can occur over long-term driveway use. So all that to say, he was like, hey, would you be open to a pattern change? To which Brian and I were like, absolutely. Number one, you're advising us on the best long-term solution. And number two, we actually love a herringbone because it matches our aesthetic so closely. It's classic, it's timeless, yet we get a bit of unexpectedness with color and also this oversized herringbone shape. So check, check. Decisions made. So I have gotten some questions about why we are choosing to use a contractor instead of a little bit of a DIY thing. And when I think about design, I really think you can have 3 things. You can have fast, you can have inexpensive, and you can have good design, right? But you can't have all 3 of those things at the same time. For me, I am going for exceptional design. And I know that if I try to make it inexpensive, I may not end up with the quality that I actually want. And so for me, when I look at a contractor, I think to myself, what are you going to be best at? And how can I leverage that for the best design possible? And so for me, I want a beautifully, perfectly flat patio that my greenhouse is going to sit on because all those glass panels have to be in there perfectly. Now, Brian has offered multiple times to work on building us a proper studio back here. However, I need to acknowledge that Brian is actually an incredibly busy man. He's helping me run my company, he's editing, and also Elias is better at exterior construction. So we are going to pass that one off to Elias. So he's going to build the envelope and he's going to get the entire structure up and running. However, what Brian is really good at is detail. So he's going to be my finished carpenter detail man. And that's how we are divvying up certain splits within this project because money is a consideration, time is a consideration, but above all, bringing to life a well-executed vision of design that is the goal. And I think final note on using a contractor and doing any sort of design project, before we even break ground, I think Elias and I touched on it in the last video, but we have mutually been dreaming about this project for months on. It's like, what is the client brief? I'm the client, so I'm the most difficult client of all. But what's the brief? What are my goals? What's the journey that we're taking through a garden? What's the overall vision and aesthetic that we're hoping to achieve? And then also mapping our way towards a successful project. So yes, you're getting real-time updates, but this project has been percolating in our heads and our brain spaces for, man, darn near a year. So upcoming on the channel, there will be some DIY projects, but what our goal for this main project is to build an incredibly strong foundation, because as we all know, without a beautiful, strong foundation, a house will absolutely crumble. And so I think as we move through, it's going to be really fun to take you guys along as we're enhancing certain areas. We're building a deck here and there. We're finishing off the studio. We're doing the interior touches. I mean, this project, this is just simply the tip of the iceberg of what this garden will one day become. All right, now this isn't necessarily like a big status update thing, but I want to point this out to you because this is one of the reasons that I love working with Elias. Do you see this garden bed back here? It was completely chock-a-block full of magnolia leaves and weeds because we had been so busy demoing the garden. So you know what that sweet man did? Before I even got out the door, he had one of his wonderful workers out here and he weeded this bed for us because he wanted us to just feel so taken care of in this process. And that level of attention to detail, that makes me want to cry, because I know that when I bring Elias to a job site, I'm giving that gift of his attention to detail to all of my clients. And now to receive it, like, you guys, this is what contractor dreams are made of. And so I am wishing for all of you out there, a contractor like Elias who helps you feel so taken care of during a very big project. Oh my gosh. You guys, this marks the center point of our new garden studio. I'm getting like crazy emotional, and I think it's because I'm super tired, but like I've dreamed of my own work studio for practically my entire career. In fact, if I think about it, I will show you my vision board sometime where I actually have a garden studio exactly as I am creating right now. And this pin marks the center of those French doors and the vista into the garden. And this was one of the last things that we did with Elias today, is to spray out this center point, mark out, it's going to be 15 feet wide. It's going to go 8 feet deep. So we're really maximizing what we can build here. And what this pin is doing is it's not just like marking a little spot in the garden, but as I stand here, one of the things that I think is so foundational about garden design is not just who you are on the inside of a house, who you are on the outside of the house, but how those spaces get to play and marry with one another. So by marking this pin, not only am I helping him with construction and placement and so on and so forth, but I'm also now marking the vista that gets to open in front of me. So as I start sketching my planting plans, this just gets pride of place, because this is one of the journeys. This is one of the destinations that we get to take through the garden. I mean, just like so impactful. And then if we want to go just nuts and bolts for a second, we also talked about how many steps down to grade, how deep is our foundation going to be, how we were preparing for water intrusion, what kind of roof structure we're going to have. Am I going to build out a slight overhang over the door? Lots and lots and lots of details were sparked with just one pin. So there we have it, this week's update. I will see you on Friday for Floral Friday. We're gonna go have some more fun in the shop, doing some container arrangements. And then I will be back on Monday with a massive update from things that have happened through the remainder of this week and also this weekend, as Brian and I, once again, toil in the garden. Okay, I'm gonna see you in the next one. And in the meantime, say hello to your garden for me.